Welcome back, besties. For today's video, I am so excited to partner with Cricut. We are going to be using the Cricut Explore 3 along with the Cricut Hat Press to create our very own faux embroidery and faux patches. So let's go ahead and get started. For today's project, the first thing that you're going to need is a trucker hat. The trucker hat that I'll be using today is from Cricut. These are designed to be able to use with your HTV as well as infusible ink. So it has this nice white background, and you can actually use Cricut infusible ink on these. If you plan on making more than one of these trucker hats, you may want to consider purchasing them in bulk. So Cricut does have them in bulk sizes as well. So this was a 12 count. So it comes in a package just like this. The next thing that you're going to need for today's project is scraps. So you're just going to use your scrap pieces of HTV. Of course, you could use new pieces, but this is going to be a project that those little tiny pieces of scraps are going to be perfect for. If you're looking for an even more realistic look whenever it comes to the faux patches, you could use materials like felt or even fabric. If you're going to be using materials like felt or fabric for this project, you're going to want to pick you up some heat and bond. You can get it by the sheet, or you could even get it by the roll like this. Another item to consider whenever it comes to heat and bond is fusible interface. So this is going to make your material thicker. You could even use this as your background, your faux patch, and then you could put your HTV on top of this. So lots of options whenever it comes to this, but you could definitely make your patch a little bit more thicker or give it that outside look of a patch. Now let's go ahead and jump into Cricut Design Space so I can show you how to design your hat. As you guys can see, this is how mine looked before I cut everything out. So I'm going to show you guys how I got to this point. But one of the very first things you're going to notice is my background is black. So if you're new to Cricut Design Space, you may be like, whoa, how did you do this? So this is going to be a really cool tip for you. So my idea here is the white space is this part right here on the hat, and then the black is the other part. So if yours was going to be pink or blue, whatever it may be, you may want to change your background so you kind of get an idea of what's going on. To change your background, you're just simply going to come right down here on the right side. You're going to see where it says blank canvas. You're going to click on that. And then next you're going to come right up here to the top. You see where it says color. You're going to select that. And then whenever you choose your color, it's going to change your background. If you want to get rid of your grid, all you have to do is click on this white square right here in the corner, and you can make your grid smaller, or you can completely get rid of that grid. Now that I've showed you how to change that background, let me show you how we're going to make our canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here and get us a blank space. What I did was I came to shapes, and I just simply chose this one right here that had the rounded corners. So this is a rectangle, and it just had rounded corners. I chose that, and then I'm going to go ahead and change it to white. I'm going to get it right over here. For our next step, you just simply want to measure your hat so you can figure out your space. So for me, I've got about 6 inches. And then for my height here, I don't want to go too high up into the top part. So I'm going to say I've got around, let's just say 3 inches to work with. I'm going to unlock this right here. I'm going to change my width to 6, and then I'm going to change my height to 3 inches and hit enter. Now that we have our hat canvas, we are ready to start designing out our trucker cap. So what we're going to do is come right over here to images. We're going to select that. And as you can see, Cricut has over 1 million plus designs. What I love about Cricut Design Space is all of our favorite designers are right here inside of Cricut Design Space. So for today, we are doing a teacher hat. So I'm going to start to type out teacher. And so I can just select that. And you're going to see all of these amazing teacher designs pop up. For example, say I wanted to choose this one right here. I would go ahead and click add to canvas. Then what I want to do is start to size this down just like so. All right, now if I wanted to create the fake patch that's going to go around this, all I simply have to do is come back over to shapes. I can hit a square. I'm going to hit the one with the rounded corners, and then I'm actually going to try to make this a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to come up here to arrange, and then I'm just going to send it backwards. Now I could go ahead and select both of these. For example, I'm going to select this one and this one, and then I can come over here to align and center. So I can start to get the idea of where I want this to be. To create that little edge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my square here, and then I'm going to come over here to offset, and then I can actually offset to the inside here. And we're going to go something, I think, a little bit more out. So just say I wanted a nice thin border like that. I'm going to hit apply. So what I want to do is I want to take that offset layer, hit shift on my keyboard, select the outside layer, and then I'm going to go ahead and come down here and click slice. So at this point I can delete the black square. It's going to create another gray square, and there you have it. So that is our faux embroidery outside edge. And then at that point I can change it back to black if I want to, or whatever color I'm wanting. So say I want it to match the yellow. So this is going to be our thread. Say I simply wanted a smiley face. I'm going to choose this one right here. We're going to click add to canvas, and then I can size it down just like so. And then you can also rotate these so you can start to get an idea of where you want them to go, something like this. Now say, for example, I want to have material underneath this, like the fabric or the felt, like we're actually going to be doing today. This is round, so I can simply come back to shapes. I could choose another circle, and then I can size these to be the same size. So for example, this is 1.27. I'm going to choose this one, and we're going to type in 1.27. Then what I want to do is I'm going to bring this over here. We are going to arrange again. We're going to bring it to the back, and then I want to do the same thing I've done before. We're going to hold down the shift, select the other piece, and then we're going to come back over here to align and center, just like that. So you just want to keep staggering these, and then you can kind of look at them and figure out what pieces you want to be front and back. So you're just going to keep going until you are happy with your design. Now let's go ahead and get ready to put this hat together. So back at today's design, you can see this is what I've came up with. I've staggered them the way that I want to. I can always come back to this so I can see how I want to place these pieces on my hat. Now I'm using a mixture between felt, fabric, HTV, from glitter to basic to flock. I've got a lot of fun things going on to really step this up. Now I've already cut everything out whenever it comes to the HTV. So as you can see, I was able to load all of my glitter and flock pieces on one mat and then cut those out. That way I could do it at one time. And then I put all of my basic HTV on another mat. So we're going to start off with this piece of felt. So we're going to set this aside. I've already got my little mini easy press going. I'm going to use that to adhere our iron-on adhesive. Once you have your iron-on adhesive trimmed down, you're going to notice there is a shiny side that has some texture, and then you're going to have a side that just looks like paper. You want to place the shiny side down on the felt. We're just going to get it just like this. Then we're going to take our iron. I'm going to start in the middle just to get it held on here, and we're just going to start working our way to get this to be attached. And now we have an adhesive layer on the back. Take two for our felt. So I'm actually going to trim this down, and instead of putting it face up, I'm actually going to put it in this direction. So I'm going to put it down this way, and I changed it from felt bonded to wool felt. So we're going to use that setting, and it's still going to be our fine point blade. This time I want to make sure and turn the mirror off. So I'm just going to do that right here. We're going to hit done because I have it in the correct direction. So now we're going to go ahead and load it again, and we're going to see what happens this time. All right, so I'm ready to unload, and it definitely did a way better job in this direction. So what we're gonna do is just peel it away. As you guys can hopefully see, that is a perfect cut. So I highly recommend that you guys use the wool felt depending on which felt you're using. If you're using those super cheap sheets that you can get from like the Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby, you could get away with just using bonded. As you can see with the wool felt, it went around like 4 or 5 times, where if you do the bonded, it only goes around it twice. We're gonna repeat that same process when it comes to our fabric. So I'm gonna put my fabric face down. Same thing, shiny side against the fabric here. And then we're just going to iron it on so it can attach. Another tip I have whenever it comes to working with felt or fabric, you want to check your blade in between projects. So for example, if I was going to cut the fabric next, you want to go ahead and check, because see, just like that, see that wool that's in there, the felt, you want to push the end here and it's going to pop that right out. So if I would have started to cut, it would not have cut properly and I may have had some errors going on. It's because I did not check this. So in between cutting your layers, even if I was cutting multiple pieces of felt, you want to check your blade. So now we're gonna pop this back in, but even especially if I was gonna switch from fabric to HTV, you may wanna check your blade. Something that I personally like to do is use different blades for materials. So for example, I try to keep a certain housing, like I get the gold one and it's only for HTV and vinyl, and then you could have a silver one that's only for your fabric materials. We're going to go to browse all materials, and this time we're going to put in fabric. You're going to see a few different options here. I'm going to go ahead and choose fusible fabric, and then we're going to hit done. Now we are ready to load. Super easy, just like that. We're going to go ahead and pop it off, get it down here so you guys can see. And just like that, we're just going to peel it right off of the mat. So we have our adhesive now on here and it's ready to go. Let's make this project. So we're gonna go ahead and take our trucker hat. We're gonna take our hat form here and we're just going to pop our hat on here just like so. So you just want to make sure that this is going to be nice and smooth, so when we go to press it, you're going to be good to go. I've also got my Cricut Hat Press heating up. It's ready to go. It's already turned green. You can use your Cricut app if you want to set this up and choose those settings. But for me, I've went ahead and just have it on the second setting. I'll bring it up to the third one for that final press because of the glitter. But right now, I really just want to kind of do a tack down. So I could honestly even get away with just having it at the 1. So we want to start out with a tack down because we're just going in layers at first. So over here in Cricut Design Space, you're going to want to come back to your front screen so you can see how you are layering this. I'm going to start on that center piece here and then work my way up. So say for example, if I had the apple and it was going to go underneath, I would want to start with the apple first and then layer on top of that. Now another thing that you guys may know is normally you do not layer on top of glitter. So I have the offset on some of those, but for example, whenever it comes to this apple, I did not do an offset because of the stem and the little the leaf there. So I'm actually going to layer these on top of each other, but because this is not a washable item, we're going to be good to go. But if you were actually going to be making a t-shirt where this is going to go through the wash, you would never want to layer on top of glitter. You would want to have that offset like this, where it's just the border instead of being a solid piece like so. Now you're going to want to make sure and use a lint roller, make sure this is nice and clean of debris. So we're going to start off with this piece here. So I'm just going to line it up here. Then I'm going to use a couple pieces of heat tape here to hold this down, because when you're working with a curved surface, sometimes it's going to struggle to want to stick down. So I've got this ready to go. So now I don't need to hit start or anything on my hat press, because once again, we're just doing a tack down. So I'm going to press down and I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to go up and down, side to side, just for a few seconds, enough to do a tack down, just like so. So because this is not fully down, I want to give it a second to kind of cool before we start to peel it away. Now, if you're careful, you can just continue to use these pieces of heat tape over and over. All right, one down. So this is my faux embroidery thread. We're going to take the heat tape once again, right there on the sides. Take that hat press, and we're going to go side to side. Once again, I'm not hitting go because I'm just doing a tack down layer just for a few seconds. We're gonna carefully peel this away and look at how cool this is looking. I'm gonna bring it up. So awesome. All right, so now let's go ahead and start to put on our letters. For now, I can get these pieces here. You could go across it with an entire piece of tape. I'm gonna be very careful, get it across here, making sure nothing is shifting. Get that heat press. I'm gonna hold it down for a few seconds before I start sliding just to make sure nothing's moving. Those were all glitter. So now we're gonna come into some flock here. So the A and this little lightning bolt, which is a tiny little pencil, is gonna go in next. Now when it comes to flock, it's not very sticky, so I'm gonna go over it with my heat tape. Just like that to hold it down. Pop on that piece of parchment. Take that heat press and we're gonna get it down. Now I could have went and got a couple other pieces if I wanted to as well, but I'm gonna try to knock out this little piece here. And I'm going to bring it up just so you guys can see what's happening here and all of that dimension. For now, that looks like all I could get in on one hit. So we're gonna go ahead and come back in here with our parchment paper. And then we're going to start to go across this. We're ready for our next layer. So I'm going to pop on my little fun belt here. It is so cute. And then I'm going to get a couple pieces of tape to help hold that down because there's nothing sticky. Same thing whenever it comes to your fabric layer, you're going to want to use some heat tape because there is no stick to it. So I think I'm going to go somewhere right about in here for that smiley face. Luckily I can save the day, but once again, pay attention to those layers. I was lucky enough to be able to pull back this fabric layer here just because it was tacked down. So I'm going to go ahead and be able to save it and get on this outline layer right here. So this should have went down first. So as you can see, everybody makes mistakes. And that's one thing I want to show you here is we're real, right? So everybody's going to make mistakes. It is totally okay. So you guys let me know in the comments below, what is the biggest mistake that you guys have made when it comes to using your Cricut? We're going to lay down our brick layer. And this one is nice and thick. So I'm going to get a couple pieces of tape to hold it down. You guys, I cannot explain how excited I am. I've been wanting to make one of these hats so bad. And the fact that I'm making it with my Cricut first, I'm so excited. This is so fun. Okay, so I'm gonna cover up and we're gonna get the brick first and then we'll cover the whole thing. All right, so I'm gonna go right on top. Now with this brick, I'm going to apply some pressure because it is such a thick one. It's gonna go through that rubber. My heat is all the way up and we're gonna get this on here. Oh my gosh, that patch looks amazing. Check it out, guys. We are down to our last press here. So I'm going to cover it one last time with our parchment paper and we're going to hit the whole thing. So we've got it on high setting. And this time we're going to go over this thing and hold it down and we're going to go from side to side and top to bottom. Oh my goodness, check it out. Look at how amazing this is. Look at all that 3D texture. How cool is this? Does this not look like the realistic thing? I love it. I absolutely love the way that this hat came out. So much fun. I honestly cannot wait to make more of these. And then the fact is that I made this with my Cricut. We don't have to go buy an embroidery machine and we don't have to go buy all of these patches. Of course, you can go buy ready-made patches at the store and online, but you're gonna be spending $2 and $3 and $5 per patch when you could just use your scraps. So grab those scraps out of that scrap pile and start making your hats today. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.